Hello, my name is Brunel Pierre-Louis, and I'm going to talk to you today about Charles Keating. He was a lawyer, a real estate millionaire who bought Lincoln Savings and Loan in 1984 for 51 million. Lincoln Savings and Loan made small profits on home loans, and they were not able to invest in anything too risky due to regulation. All that changed during the deregulation period of the 1980s. This deregulation allowed Keating to invest into risky real estate ventures, stocks, junk bonds, and other high risk, high yield investments. Keating did two types of questionable transactions. One was that he would sell a house to someone at a stated price, collect $1, and a note for the remainder. If the buyer refused to pay the note or could not pay it, then he retained the house while still showing profit on the books. The other transaction involves swapping similar houses with a neighbor. You could name up your price or find an appraiser to give you a higher price. Once the house is exchanged, there's a profit based on the old price and the new appraised price of the swap. In addition to this, prosecutors stated that Keating used the company as his own personal account by taking 34 million for his own personal use and another 1.3 million for political contributions, which would prove very handy for Keating. When the alarm sounded, the Federal Home Loan Bank Board imposed a 10% cap on risky investments for savings and loan. Prosecutors found that by 1987, Lincoln had 135 million in losses that Keating never reported and had more than 600 million more in risky investments than what the regulation stipulated. The FBI, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and other agencies were taking a closer look at Keating's unscrupulous business practices. Keating was well connected politically because of his generous contributions and was now calling in the favors. He had political backers to help him known as the Keating Five. They were Senator Alan Cranston, Dennis DeConcini, John Glenn, John McCain, and Donald Regal. Yes, you heard correctly, John McCain. The Keating Five met with regulators in an attempt to prevent them from bringing charges against Keating. Keating also hired Alan Greenspan to create a report in order to reassure investors. Alan reported that the investors faced no foreseeable risk and praised management for their efforts. Because of the Keating Five and also Allen's report, Lincoln was able to survive 2 more years before becoming insolvent. The government seized Lincoln in 1989. By then, 23,000 customers were in possession of junk bonds totaling $250 million, and this cost taxpayers $3.4 billion. This was the largest debacle of the savings and loans crisis. In 1993, Keating was convicted of 73 counts of wire fraud and bankruptcy and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. With appeals and plea bargaining, he served only 4.5 years. The savings and loans debacle was a huge financial crisis for this country, and it all took place because of deregulation. Between 1986 and 1995, there were 1,043 savings and loan failures, and this cost taxpayers $124 billion. In addition, investors lost $29 billion. Reagan and Bush prosecuted over 1,100 people. 839 resulted in convictions, and the FBI opened 5,490 criminal investigations. In contrast, the mortgage crisis costed taxpayers more than $700 billion, dollars, and no major player of this crisis were prosecuted or went to jail. In contrast, the mortgage crisis cost the taxpayers more than $700 billion, dollars, and no major player of this crisis